So after I didn't make that turn, I'm still running for my life, but I remember for probably 2 miles, there was little funnels that would come and drop down. Some of them would touch and go back up. And I kept telling myself, you got to turn around and go back to Greenfield.
I shot over to my neighbors to the north, and their house was totally gone. And I found, expected the worst, hoping for the best. And they was there in the southwest corner of their basement, and they was just uncovering. Asked if they was okay. They said they were and everything.
I left a message for my family. I just recorded a quick message on my phone for my family. Again, I'm scared to death at that point in time. I don't know what's going to happen, but I know I have to go back to Greenfield. So at that point in time, then I turn and come back into town. I'm like, I have to go and meet up with that lady. And she's just west of Casey's a little ways. And I get to the 4-way intersection, and you can't go north and you can't go west any further. So I parked my car or my truck there, and I got out. One of the sheriff's deputies was there, and his car is like destroyed. At first I thought, were you in this? And that was my first question to him. And he's like, no, I was in the hospital. I was like, okay, thank God.
And I looked around, I thought, oh my gosh. There's people out here that need some help. There has to be. I shot across the road, and her house was gone. She was standing on a freezer in her basement, so I helped her out and made sure she was fine.
I remember I was sitting there talking to Russ, and he's like, my neighbor's house is just completely gone. And he's like, there ain't 20 foot between us. And I'm like, yeah, you were literally 20 foot from nothing. That neighborhood there, that first neighborhood it come into, I mean, there was nothing left. It took every single home in that whole first block, just leveled them.
Yeah, mom was fine. She didn't even really understand north side of town.
Yep.
Nobody.
They came out of their houses and went, whoa, that was close.
They dodged a bullet.
You know, I'm looking at what time of day it is. So a lot of people aren't home from work typically at that point in time. The main concern that I had outside of search and rescue was the roads were completely unimpassable.
I headed up the block, and there's this kid there, and I said, you okay? I think he was in shock, and I said, and he pointed at the lady. She was face down in the dirt, rubble, whatever. Oh no, here we go.
Yeah.
So I got her uncovered and all the debris away, and I got her turned over anyway, and she was responsive, but she was a mess. There's a girl walking by, and I said, I need some help over here, and she said, oh gosh, right. Call 911. I says, I don't even know where we're at. They can't get here.
So even our first responder units were having to walk blocks through debris just to start checking each and every single house.
There's other people started coming around. A local nurse, retired nurse, she showed up and started helping her, and I moved on. There's plenty of help there, but went across the street. I didn't know where I was. I heard a buddy of mine needed help, and I couldn't find his home. But I found this lady was in her basement. So a group of us guys trying to figure out how to get in there, but I weaseled my way down in there, got her out. like I said,
Yeah.
I didn't know where I was.
You've been here all your life, and all of your
was
landmarks,
lost.
and you were lost a block from home.
A block from home, I was lost. And
Yeah.
that was a very weird feeling. And I was upset I couldn't find my friend, but found out they got him.
Mm-hmm.
So I went back and they was tending to that lady, and we got her rolled on an old piece of plywood. Somebody had a pickup there, and we carried her over. I still don't know who that lady is, but apparently she was fine. So that was nice. So
Yeah.
And so I get those guys, the fire crews, there's fire departments from neighboring communities coming, and I'm just directing them to start doing an initial first check of residents and stuff. I can tell you within minutes there's walking wounded. We end up initially staging walking wounded at the Casey store there. The parking lot was empty, and so we just used it as a kind of a staging area for the walking wounded initially, because you couldn't even get to the hospital easily either. So we started kind of directing them there, and then my next call was to secondary roads. And I called the engineer and I said, Nick, I'm going to need you to get some guys out here with road graders and snow plows, whatever you can get. I need to get these roads opened up so we can make it passable to get ambulances and fire trucks and stuff down.
And then I got home and oh, Russ, you got a skid loader. There's streets need. I was trying to save the world that day.
Yeah.
Adrenaline kicked in.
Oh yeah.
And I was probably acting stupid. I don't know. I don't know, but I had to help everybody. So I got in the skid loader for a while and helped clear some streets and stuff.
And within 4 hours, every street in this town was passable by two-way traffic. They registered this wind speed at 318 miles an hour on the ground. So that's the highest wind speed ever recorded in the whole world.
So after I was able to finally get home and make sure my wife and kids were okay, and we were helping some of the neighbors get dug out of their houses, I called to let my mom know that we got hit, we're okay, but we did get hit. We chatted for a couple minutes, said that she was trying to get a hold of my grandma and grandpa and that she'd get back a hold of me. And it was maybe 5 minutes later that she called, and I mean, you can just tell something was wrong. They live right up the street from them, so they can see down the hill, and they knew my grandparents were gone. I sent Jenna and the kids up to Winterset to her parents just to get out of town, kind of that safety. Kids didn't need to be seeing what was going on. And I rushed down there, and the house that I grew up going to Christmases, Easters, my grandma was the pinnacle of our family.
Never saw her sit down and always made sure you had food on your plate, and just wanted to join in every conversation that was going on, and pictures every time was always pictures. But she always hosted everything.
And the house was just gone. Nothing was left. Wiped everything out right behind the hospital, and it was just gone.
Down in that area, there's a pot of flowers.
It's just for us.
The tornado come through and, everything in its path it destroyed, like you said, killing 4 people. They finally, completed their rounds, and everybody was accounted for, even the ones that passed. But when I decided to venture out, it was a sickening feeling. Sick feeling every time I turned and got close to where the tornado path was. So finally, halfway through, I turned around and come home.
Yeah, and my brother was up in, he was way up in northern Iowa, and he called back, wondered how his house was. And Peyton says, "You have no house, Scott." So that he was pretty upset about that. He wasn't here, but it's a good thing he wasn't. He would be gone, because it was a house without a basement. It was on a slab, so God was with him on that day. So yeah, but he got back, and it was he didn't. There wasn't a lot there to save, so.
Our son's always kind of been weather aware, weather conscious, and I think this just kind of pushed him over that edge where it's going to take a while to get kind of comfortable with it again.
So did the kids have any friends that had lost their homes, or?
Yeah, a couple.
It's kind of strange to have to explain that, isn't it?
Yeah, it's hard to explain to them, but they're old, they're at that point where they see it and then they understand.
But there's still a lot of families that it's affecting them still today. The tornado siren goes off, even if it's the monthly test, you know. It kind of sends people into that panic mode, you know. There's still some kids that they weren't even, I know some kids that weren't even truly affected. I mean, their homes had some damage or whatever, but they were on the outer edge of it. But they had friends, and they literally could walk out their front door and look down two houses or whatever, and nothing's there.
Right.
And they lived that. They saw that every day. I mean, it legitimately looked like a war zone, like Afghanistan here, you know, like there truly was a war that happened here.
Yeah.
And those, I mean, that's hard. That's hard to see, especially as a kid.
It's a visual that most people just don't ever. It's like, as an emergency management, person, a lot of people could go their entire career and not have, a scenario like you ended up with. Have you ever seen anything like this? Has Greenfield ever come even close to something like this?
Nothing of this magnitude. We've had little ones, especially when I was younger, we had little ones in my neighborhood, but nothing this magnitude at all. Nothing compares to this.
Next episode.
GoServ got started, GoServ Global, by a man named Ken DeYoung, and I joined immediately in September of 2011.
We had two tornadoes that came through Lake Panorama. I think it was like in 2013. Dennis, he showed up at our door the very next day and wanted to help.
We do this because we firmly believe in the biblical worldview and that God has called us to do this.
And I remember seeing Dennis for the first time, and it was just because I had that previous interaction with Dennis, and and I remember looking out across that yard, and I'm like, I know that guy.
Please consider signing up to take part in our $1 challenge today. Your dollar will help provide $3 in value to families in need and maybe even help break a world record. Scan the QR code or text the number on screen to learn more. GoServ Global Domestic exists to fulfill the biblical worldview and make volunteers successful in helping those impacted by natural disasters. Please consider donating or volunteering today to help us help the next community impacted by a natural disaster. Visit GoServGlobal.org to learn more.